Yeah, my first grandchild, bro. You been around me all my life. My first grandchild, bro. I was 38 years old. So how the fuck should I be a granddaddy at 38?
That is kind of damn young, damn.
So now we got this generational gap. Well, the mama doing her thing, and then me at 38 still doing my thing. So that's a disconnect. That's a disconnect because you growing up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you seen your mama, you seen your granddaddy, you seen everybody that we didn't see when we were growing up. You seen all of them doing the same thing that they telling you not to do.
But what does that have to do with mental health, though?
No, mental health, yeah, the kids are separated from having a voice in their head or telling them to do the right thing, don't do this, go to church, do all that. Because at the end of the day, it's all mental health because these kids only see what they see every day in their home life.
And see, I'm gonna have to disagree with that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with that.
I feel like in layman terms, what he's trying to say is mental health is more prevalent now than we want to acknowledge it for, because some kids and some adults are mental health and have not been treated because
of trauma.
It's right because they think it's normal. So, like he's saying, if a child have a baby at 15 and she's allowed to have a baby at 15, that's trauma. First of all, a 15-year-old should not be engaging in sex. So it's probably something that happened before then as to why she craved that anyways. So, and then sometimes it may not be molestation. The parents could be dependent on alcohol or drugs and left her to raise herself. So
with her other sibling.
Right. Living with a parent that's dependent creates trauma, which eventually that child is going to grow up to be an adult that have some mental health issues that has never been resolved. So what we are failing to acknowledge is now grown into mental health that people don't want to acknowledge that it's mental health, and it is.
And I think
they set us up to not to be the raise out when they go to school and say that.
They just say
that you in trouble.
But see, that start at home, because my daughter tell you she's 31. And she be like, she made that mistake one time and said, I'm going to call the police on you. Well, goddamn it, bitch, if you call the police, if you can dial the number with your hand like this, shit, have at it.
I think that,
but they'll go to school and tell them folks, my mama beat me.
Did she ever go to school and tell on me? No, because she feared her mama. That's the problem we have now. These children don't fear nobody.
Fear their parents.
Going back to mental illness, I think there's one thing that we need to distinguish is between mental disability and mental illness. A mental illness or a mental issue comes from trauma. And I think that with trauma and, first of all, undiagnosed trauma, because sometimes we can Pandora box things. I think that's what happened to me as a child. I Pandora boxed a lot of things. So that helped me deal with my trauma as a child growing up. Yes, that will lead into mental issues. I can say that. But also, I will say, if you all know back in the day, you did have grandparents having whole families at 13, 14, 15 years old. Yeah. Because to them, you were in your prime. If you had children in your 20s, you were considered an old maid. So I don't think it has anything to do with age. I think it has to do with how you were bred. You know, back then you had young mothers, young fathers out here who were bred to be in relationships, to raise their children and do what was necessary in order to, yield a good product. Today, you have people doing whatever, whenever, however. And when you have that, and then you add in drugs, alcohol, trauma, then you get what we got now, a juvenile system full of children who cannot cope.
Yeah.
You have an adult prison system who cannot cope. You have a lot of issues that are going on that you cannot. It's like it's undiagnosed. So if it's not diagnosed, then you can't treat it. So that's why you have a lot of people running around out here in the street who don't know what's going on, don't know how to deal with it. I myself can say, I have Pandora boxed a lot of stuff, and the older I get, guess what it's doing? It's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's coming out.
I'm gonna say that. When I met my grandmama at 6, 7, 8 years old, my grandmama was in her middle 50s or late 50s. Like I said, I was a fucking grandparent at 38. So that means I wasn't able, at that time, I wasn't trying to raise no grandkids. But my grandma raised me. So that's why I said the disconnect is you had kids having kids and mamas that were not able to raise their kid because they had kids. So if the mama had somebody at 17, so then the daughter had somebody at 15, so the gap is getting separated so far.
But I don't think it's about the age. I think it's about the mentality of it.
The mentality, yeah.
It's the mentality. It has nothing to do with age.
Right.
Because
It's
you
to do
got,
because
hold on,
how
let me
17
finish.
how
Because the
17
Bible, you can learn from anybody. And the Bible really says 12 is the age of accountability.
Yes.
So let's a certain age.
Because
you
in
can do
Jewish
it.
tradition,
Come
you
on
are
now.
considered an adult.
Come on now.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
hold
on, let me finish. What I'm saying is, what you got is a culture of people.
It's a culture.
It's a culture of people
culture.
who want to do what they want to do, how they want to do it. You made mention Zone 6 about, not being able to reprimand your children. The law never said that. We interpret things the way we want to interpret.
Exactly.
The law says you cannot